so much concern around the geopolitics here. There's been a lot of noise surrounding whether or not President Trump really has the patience to see this one through. The Financial Times wrote a big article on this today. A lot of concern about whether or not we would try too quickly to get a deal signed. Can you give us a timeline on what we're going to see?
Well, let me just put this in context. These discussions have been going on for the last 2 years, since the first summit that President Trump had with President Xi, where he made very clear that trade was right at the top of the agenda. And we've made a lot of progress over the last few months. Last week, I sat in meetings with Ambassador Lighthizer and the Vice Premier Leo He. We made a lot of progress. I think we've commented on, we're working on a 150-page document. This is a very, very detailed agreement for some very significant commitments, and these are structural commitments. But we still have more work to do, and we hope to make progress this month, and if we do, there'd be a summit between the two presidents.
In terms of Lighthizer versus Larry Kudlow, for example, we heard from him just a little earlier today on CNBC. He was very, very positive about making sure that we got this China trade talk just right. And Lighthizer has come out and said he is concerned that the details, the devil is in the details, as they say. Who's right?
Well, let me just comment that there's been a lot of chatter about different parts of the administration. And let me just emphasize, we are completely united on these discussions, whether it's myself or Ambassador Lighthizer or Secretary Ross or Larry Kudlow or Peter Navarro. We are all working very closely together, and we have a common vision in executing and getting a real agreement.
And walk me through some of those details, in the sense that the mechanism to make sure that the Chinese are going to continue to comply on the outcome of this deal. Because at the end of the day, one of the things, as you know, so many have commented on President Trump's withdrawal from the Iran nuclear agreement. He said again and again that the reasons behind that was because it was not a comprehensive agreement, that really there was no way to make sure the Iranians were complying. How are we going to make sure that the Chinese continue to comply?
Well, the president thought the Iran agreement was a bad agreement. That was the real problem. It didn't encompass many issues such as ballistic missiles. It had Iran in terms of exporting of terrorism, and our Iran sanctions have worked. They've had a real impact, and we couldn't be more pleased with that strategy. Now, the president has insisted all along on our China discussions, and he's been actively involved. We meet with him several times a week. This will be a real agreement. This has to be real structural changes. We're dealing with everything from intellectual property protection to technology transfer to financial services, non-financial services, currency, and we spent a lot of time on a real enforcement provision. So let me just say the deal's not done yet, but we've made a lot of progress.